going on, everyone? Welcome back to you, but also welcome back to Bitcoin. As it seems, the number one crypto asset in the world, which is BTC, is coming alive. It's coming alive. Now, if you follow us on X, thank you. If you're not following us on X, shame on you. But you can change that by just go ahead and following us. So, posted this tweet, 86175, and then I say, you know what, I probably should give a little more context. And so I followed up with this. A weekly close above 86175 for BTC would be massive. Last time a weekly candle engulfed the prior to, at the end of a downtrend, this is the important one, at the end of a downtrend, Bitcoin ran 95%. Talking about it more on the show. Well, guess what? The show is here. You're here. I'm here. Let's talk about it. So, what am I referring to? Now, your thumbnail for today's show says lock in, right? Lock the F in. Is this the precursor to the final rally? Let's talk about it. All right. So, what was I referencing for BTC? Well, we take a look. This is the weekly for Bitcoin. And as you can see here, a very strong, so far, weekly candle. Now, there's still about a day and 4 hours left. But what is happening now is if the weekly candle closed right now, we would have engulfed last week's candle, meaning the body has engulfed the body of the previous candle, which is a very bullish. In fact, at the end of a downtrend, typically signifies a reversal of the trend, which is currently still down. Now we start getting greedy and we say, okay, well, why not engulf the candle from 2 weeks ago, which sits at 86,175. Let's call it 86,150. Okay. Now I was looking back. I was like, okay, when's the last time that a weekly candle engulfed the prior 2 weeks? And I'm looking here, downtrend, not really. This one, no. Oh, no, not really. Okay, let's keep going back. Downtrend. Did we see anything? No, not really. Okay. And then, I'm like, okay, I think I found it. Okay. Right here. This candle right here. This was the week of July 19th in 2021. Okay. And now, oddly enough, this happened after the first peak in Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin had two peaks in 2021. Okay. Big downtrend, big pullback, and the pullback, my friends, from wick to wick was 56%. Where are we right now from wick to wick? I haven't measured this, is around 32%. Okay, so not as deep of a pullback, but we take a look. What did price do? Big fall, chop. This was a bottom. Okay, big fall, chop. Is this going to be the bottom for Bitcoin? Okay. Again, week of July 19th engulfed the week of July 12th and the week of July 5th, the opens. Okay. And then what did Bitcoin do? From the bottom candle, not even the wick, the open to all-time high. Well, actually, I measured below. I measured the next candle. So even if you enter the next candle, which would have been here to high, there it is, 97% rally from BTC. If we can engulf the week of March 24th's candle, that's a pretty strong reversal, my friends. Engulfing on one candle is one thing. Engulfing two with volume is another. Super bullish setup. Potentially now, again, we don't want to get front run here. We don't want to get too excited. Still a lot of uncertainty in the macro markets, but we clear 86,150 for the weekly. We are looking juicy as hell. With that being said, cue some music here, some low-key music. I do have a poll up here, my friends. Is this the beginning of a new all-time high rally for BTC? Please vote. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts, yes or no. Also, if you're new here, welcome. My name is David. I'll be your host for today's show. We only focus on TA and fundamentals on the David Solo show. And so also big thanks to all the moderators. Destroyer, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you, my brother, from another motherfucking mother. All right, Let's take a peek here. This is XO charts, and I have this on the bid and ask. So let's take a peek here. Where are the sellers stepping in? I'm going to zoom up here. Okay, so here we go. This is so the grayed out box in the center is obviously the price of BTC. Left in blue, you see the bids, aka the buys. On the right, you see the asks, aka the sells. And you're seeing a lot of buyers step in at around this 85.64 level. Really, when we talk about sell walls, it's really not. There's not really a lot. I mean, you got 15 BTC here, and this thing is just uploads. And this is from Bybit, by the way. This thing is giving us info at the exact time as Bitcoin is seeing a little bit of a pullback to 85.56. But you see a lot of the price action obviously is happening just above and below these the level that we're at. But we do have a little bit coming in. I saw one at around 85 like 9 on the ask side, but you're seeing a lot of buyers stepping in, and so are we seeing a momentum change in the price in Bitcoin? Another key thing I was looking at here for BTC on the daily at the least is we are attempting to reclaim our 200-day moving average. Also, what we are looking at doing right now, and we'll see how this plays out. If we do get one more pullback and this becomes a rejection off the 200-day moving average, you're looking at a potential inverse head and shoulders setup. All right, we come back and retest. Maybe we retest this 82.2. Maybe we come back and retest 80,000. We set up for a bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern that will break to the upside unless some financial calamity or macro calamity happens in the market. So that's another bullish setup we're potentially looking for. That would involve another retracement though. But again, I make fun of Rob all the time when he says last time under 80K. I don't know. This is, and you guys know me if you've been watching my show. I've been 60-40, one more big drawdown down to 71K. I think I'm 60-40 the other way. I think 80K was a bottom. I don't know if we go below 80K again. Also, there was some super bullish news. And again, we don't really share news on the show, but look at this. White House says gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin. Now, this is something that a lot of insiders, a lot of smart people like Michael Saylor have said the U.S. government should do. Sure, you want new, fresh capital to buy Bitcoin. You got to go through Congress, which we know is going to take a lot of time. But the budget neutral way is the money that's already been allocated for a gold reserve. Can you reallocate some of that to a Bitcoin reserve, which is already set up? And so this would be very bullish. I don't know if Bitcoin's pumping because of this, but either way, super good setup for BTC. So we're watching that weekly close, and let me get rid of this. Inverse head and shoulders pattern for BTC, bringing in higher lows. This is a beautiful double. This is a beautiful W pattern here. Let me go back in, grab my brush. You come in, and it's essentially a double bottom and a rally to the upside. Pullback brought in a higher low, and at least on the 4 hour, on the 200 MA, we have crossed above. But the big one, my friends, is going to be the daily 200-day moving average. You see how important these levels are, and these are ribbons. So you have an open, a close, and a low close and an open for this MA. And so we're looking to reclaim that. And to really clear, we're looking at 89K for BTC to clear this moving average ribbon. But again, a retracement wouldn't be bad either, because again, as long as we don't exceed, we drop below 80K, this will turn into a really nice inverse head and shoulders pattern that we can break, that we can trade and break to the upside. The rest of the markets are looking fairly decent. This is on the 1 hour, at least for altcoins. Fartcoin continues to pop up there. Flare up 5%. Helium Bonk, it's on the hour. Let's look at the daily. Jasmy had a big rally. XCN, Onyx coin, that had a rally yesterday, seeing a little bit of a pullback. Bitcoin Cash, people can't figure out why it's still around. I'm one of those people. But doesn't mean we can't make money trading it. Hex up 9.5%. Shout out to all the Hexkins. Maybe start taking profits on these pumps, putting it into some better projects that actually do things. Say up 14.6%. We take a look at the money flow on the 1 hour. Solana seeing $16 million of inflows. BTC seeing $75 million of inflows, each seeing 14.5 million. And the net outflows, biggest one is Bonk at a paltry 1.3 million. XRP saw about 500,000 of outflows, but obviously it's a big inflow day here, my friends. Big inflow day. Looking at liquidations, nothing really to show there. I think it was like 10 million on the 1 hour. You can actually look at that together. Maybe that changed, not Patreon. CoinGlass. How's you guys this weekend going, by the way? Went to see my kids' soccer game. They were up 3-0, then they tied. Like, what are you guys doing, man? That team sucked. Gave him some crap. Challenged him to get better. Anyways, so up to 20 million on the 1 hour liquidations with 95% being short. So nice little short squeeze coming here. And then on the lower time frames, work our way down the 1 hour for BTC. Wow, look at that beautiful drawing. I should start getting people to pay to commission my drawing work here. It's that good, huh? Let's get rid of that. Let's take a look at market cipher B, whatever saying. I was getting alert. So we did hit one trade. Well, we hit a few trades. AVAX, Uniswap, but the Uniswap was 100% market cipher B. We leveraged our anchor trigger wave. What is it called? Strategy. And so I do have alerts on TradingView, and my alert is when we get a green dot on the 4 hour. Now it's not an alert to where, okay, drop everything you're doing and buy. It's like, hey, we got a green dot. Is it something like this setup? Is it something like this setup? And so I was getting them just a few hours ago, green dot, green dot, green dot, green dot. But I didn't see any setups on the 4 hour like we saw on Uniswap, which ended up being a really good trade. We got in at around, I think, $5, or let's check. So this was, I think this was at $5.10 for Uniswap that we got in. I took profits a little early. I know a few other people took profits early. But TP1 hit $5.41. TP2 sitting at $5.85. And that was this level here where we saw that consolidation for Uniswap on the 4 hour. So it was between 3rd of April through the 6th of April. So about a 3-day period, a little bit of consolidation before we had that big drop off. Coming in, everything's kind of forming these rising wedges, rising channels, which typically break to the downside. But any big move up, spike in volume, push up, could invalidate all those. Let's take a look at the price action concepts. And we're going to stick on Uniswap for a second. Cleared our previous day high. Got a break of structure here on the 4 hour, which is very good. And so this level here, $5.49, is a level we are looking to stay above, which you saw. We came back down, retested on a wick and a close, and then we saw positive price action to the upside. And so we're coming in higher lows, higher highs on Uniswap. This chart looks pretty good. The next big level I'm looking to clear, it's going to be around $5.71, which we saw a couple of liquidity grabs, and that is where we had that change of character before Uniswap dropped around 18 to 20% for Uniswap. But I'm completely out of this position. Took, I think, like it was like a 10 or 12% profit. And I said this on the show a few days ago, and even couldn't stream yesterday, but I think it was Thursday. I said, look, these markets are super volatile, and you never know with a president like Trump what he's going to say, what he's going to do. And so it could work in your favor. It could work against you. And so I am ready and prepared to pull profits early if I have to. And so that's what we do. Take 10, 12% clips, cash out, move on to the next trade. And so I did that on the Uniswap trade. I think I did that on the AVAX trade as well. And so just keep that in mind. If you're sitting there and you're looking at your, I don't know, and I'm actually not in any positions right now, but if you're sitting there looking at your positions and you're up 25% or 30% or 15%, even 8%, and you're happy with it, take money off the table, man. Move on to the next trade. No one, and it's such a cliche saying, but it's so true. No one goes broke taking profits, right? So BTC, let's take a look on the lower time frames on the 10-minute. Money flow is expanding to the upside, which is great. We are seeing VWAP start to curve inwardly, which is good, as this thing was heading towards that zero line. Break to the downside would be seen as bearish on Market Cipher B. Throw on Market Cipher A. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to show on the weekly too for BTC. And if you're new to trading, an easy way, if you want to figure out is a trend up or down, go to a high time frame and throw on your Heikin-Ashi candles. And you want to see a trend that is coming to an end in an uptrend, Okay, you want to see if that uptrend is weakening, look for wicks below the open. On a downtrend, if you're looking for the trend weakening, look for wicks above the open. Okay, so this on the weekly, that trend is starting to slow down, right? Strong downtrend, strong downtrend. I can't speak, Jesus Christ. Now we're seeing wicks to the upside and downside. So the downtrend is losing steam. Why can I not talk? Jesus Christ. And for this one more candle, and also you can use this for entry and exit as well. One more candle with no wicks to the downside, and that is a trend change confirmation. And depending on what price action says, we take a look at some other things. Might be a good time to enter, but that again is still waiting on one more candle there. Market cipher A, take a look. This is a good reversal signal here. So this is, hey, whatever the trend previously was, it's reversing, and it was right on the money as well. But what you're seeing here, and this is kind of works like Bollinger Bands, is you start seeing, and I'll remove this and I'll kind of show you, when we see a constriction of the bands, there's a big move coming or a trend reversal, right? So on market cipher A, you can see the same thing with the moving averages. When you see an expansion of the moving averages, right, the trend, whatever trend it's in, and you can see light blue is an uptrend, darker gray black is a downtrend. You see an expansion, that trend is strong. You start seeing contraction and twist, that means the trend is coming to an end. And right now, obviously, we have been in a downtrend, and it looks like these moving averages are starting to get super tight. And so we peek in on the weekly as well. The weekly is actually showing us that the uptrend is coming to an end. But again, we are seeing some other factors, some other signals come into play telling us that, hey, might see a reversal. And again, the big one for me, the no-brainer, let's take out the open of 2 weeks ago candle, the week of March 24th. We clear that open. I think you'll see 92.5 next. You see 92.5 next. I think we're off to 100K. FOMO sets in. We're already seeing Trump kind of pivot on the tariffs. Now there's exemptions to tech, semiconductors, phones. You're going to see, when you see the markets open Monday, I would suspect that the NASDAQ is going to skyrocket, triple Q, Apple stock, NVIDIA stock, those will skyrocket. And we know how close Bitcoin and crypto trade with the stock market. So I think it's going to be a big week in the markets this week. Don't be surprised if you see 10 to 12% swings. Maybe not in the NASDAQ, maybe in the NASDAQ, who knows? We saw that on Thursday, Friday. We could very well see that again. And the Fed came in and said, look, we'll be more than happy to come in and backstop, which I don't know why people were waiting for the Fed to say that. Did anyone actually believe that the Fed would not step in if shit broke? Absolutely not. Crypto7 said, Sol looks so strong. Let's take a peek at Sol. Also, if you'd like me to take a look at anything, please let me know. Be more than happy to do so. Solana, it's on the weekly. Let's peek the daily. Trend reversal coming in on the daily. Also, if let me get rid of this. If we get another reversal, maybe back down, and I don't know if we're going to get this. Maybe it's back down. Maybe it's a tiny shoulder, right? 126. Maybe we test the bottom end of this range again. As long as we don't go below 104, this could be a nice setup for an inverse head and shoulder as well. You're seeing a lot of these setups across the board for all of crypto. On the daily, though, let's take a look at market cipher B. Still heavy. That VWAP is just exploded. The VWAP is getting to mid-March levels to the upside. Let's see what price action did. That is when Solana ran from 118 up to a wick high of around 150. And we're seeing something similar play out on the VWAP here, which is going to be that yellow line. That's a straight shot to the upside. RSI, stochastics pointing up as well. We want to see that money flow start to round out and cross to the upside. On the lower time frames, you can check the 4 hour for Solana. So this level here, I had it here, and you can see this was actually a really nice inverse head and shoulders. Well, actually not. It's kind of ugly. There's your shoulder. There's your head. There's your shoulder. Break to the upside. Confirmation retest on the neckline. Just perfect, right? That was perfect. Perfect retest, and Solana shoots up. What does that rally? 11%. That's pretty good. Throw in some leverage because we're degenerates, and you have a really nice breakout. And so we hit one on Avalanche, I believe. AVAX. This was our entry on AVAX on the 1 hour. It was an inverse head and shoulders. We entered on the retest and we rode this thing up. I think our entry was 1825. Let's take a peek. AVAX. Yep. 1825.5 cents. That was our entry on AVAX. We hit that trade fairly nicely. And again, we waited for that retest of the breakout. And so I made some money there. So if you're not part of our Discord, go join our Discord. It's free. You just got to get VVIP trading access. All you got to do is create an account with our link on Buy DeFi. If you're in the US, it's great. No VPN, no KYC. Deposit $100 for yourself to trade. That's it. Put your UID. You'll get access to all these trading channels. Not only that, though, these swing and scalp channels have been on absolute fire. These guys are hitting 357, 146, and people that are in this Discord are getting the signals along with our signals as well. And so it's a win-win for everyone. We make money from the exchange. You guys don't pay us a dime, and you get a lot of good content. So shout out to all of you that are part of our trading group. Thank you to all of you. But I got sidetracked. What we're looking at, Solana. So that's retroactive, right? That's retroactively looking at this. Let's get rid of that because that already happened. That does us no good yet, or still. But 135.44. Look for a potential short there. As you see, we almost got there, and this could be setting up for a potential. You can even zoom into the 4 hour, maybe even a little bit of a cup and handle pattern, although an ugly one for Sol. But we go down to the 15-minute. Let's take a look at Market Cipher B. You see that money flow is starting to expand on the lower time frame, although the RSI and stochastic oscillator are pointing down. And it looks like, taking a look at the VWAP here, we did fail to make a higher. We did fail to make a higher high on the momentum wave here, which is setting up for a potential. Right, you have this kind of head and shoulders pattern, should break to the downside. That's on the momentum waves for Market Cipher B. But again, this is on the super low time frame, and so if you're a scalper, you're an intraday trader. Might be a really nice short setup here for Solana. But this thing, I mean, look at this 15-minute chart. This has been nothing but up and to the right since 9:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday. Right? I mean, this thing is going to pull back. I mean, there is no question about it. And Solana, scared a lot of people out of the market. Let's see where our levels are. So we already got a bounce on our 236 level. This is just pulling some fibs here, which is around 128.15. So we expect that level to hold again. Now, as far as a trade, I wouldn't enter into a long here on Solana. As you can see, it's already giving back some of its gains. But if we lose that 131.39, which was our last high, then we're looking to come back down to that 236 level, which is that 128.15. If we do get a move back to this golden pocket, if you can pick up Sol or enter into a trade between 117.50 and 118.33, that should be a golden trade setup, pun intended. So for Sol, for me, from a trading standpoint, it's a wait and see. But Sol's looking good, man. Sol's looking good. And again, people that were afraid of holding a position or buying Solana, after we saw what happened to the meme coin casino and retail is broke and pumped up fund numbers fell off a bridge, like, I get it. If your only thesis for Solana was retail and meme coins, yeah, you had every right to be nervous, and maybe you want to decrease some of your exposure to Solana. But for me, although the majority of my thesis for Solana was retail, there was also a side of my thesis that was stable coins, institutions, and RWAs. And so for me, it wasn't a completely punt on Solana because, well, the meme coin thesis, the meme coin meta is kind of over. There's a lot more that Solana does with its speed and ability to scale and handle everything on the layer one. And so if you bought Solana, Let me get rid of that fib. If you bought Salon at any point, and this was this value area zone that we had on Sol, it's been up here for a few weeks, and this sits between 110 and 128. If you bought at any point in this area, I think you made a great investment. I really do. You see that bottom came in sub $100, and again, inverse head and shoulders potential setup on the daily for Sol. If we get another pullback, I'm a buyer at 126 again, depending on what price does for Sol. So this also might be a nice setup. If we can get a smaller wave, we get that anchor trigger wave for a potential entry on a Sol long. But for me, lower time frames are telling me we're probably going to see a pullback. Look for that 236 level that we had on the 15-minute, which is right there, about 128. Look to see a bounce. If we get a bounce there, take a long up to, like, of course, not financial advice. Take a long up to between 134 to 135.44. Throw a little bit of leverage on there. Should be a decent trade setup. Nice little weekend money. You're taking your significant other out to a date. These damn kids who are getting more expensive every freaking week, it seems. Yeah. Taking a peek at the chat. Please, if you haven't cast your vote, I'm curious to see the thoughts of the community. Is the beginning of the new all-time high rally for Bitcoin? Yes or no? Right now, we're at 68% yes, 32% no. Speaking of the chat. Who is Diave? Can you look at XYO? Do you really think HBAR will go to $1.96 in 2025? I think it can. If we have a big alt season, yeah. Po-Man, what's up, brother? Said, thanks for being out here on the weekends. Anytime, my friend. Love our community. Love you guys. Also, make sure you're sub to the channel. Have notification bell on. Okay, so what did I want to look at? Let's take a peek at... Let's just go down the biggest gainers of the week. Let's take a look at what we're seeing, and let's break down the chart. Now, Onyx Coin, XCN, up 121%. Fart Coin. Now, a lot of people... Let's actually look at a Fart Coin chart. A lot of people are starting to get FOMO on Fart Coin, and I advise you to hold that FOMO in. Don't release it just yet. Fart Coin's been on a massive rally. Massive rally. And this, I mean, yeah, this was a beautiful cup and handle breakout. I think we talked about this on... And that move was perfect too, right? This measured move here, perfect from our breakout. Where our initial stop was, then we saw another leg up. Should have been a reversal pattern, a reversal candle. Didn't. Pushed up higher. But Fart Coin, my friends, is, I think, and I had this up on the 24-hour, Fart Coin is super overbought. 73 on the RSI on the 24-hour. On the weekly, I thought I saw Fart Coin on the weekly was, there it is, neutral on the weekly, but careful on the 1 hour, on the 24-hour, super oversold for Fart Coin. It's actually the most oversold on the, according to the RSI heat map for Fart Coin. So if you feel like you missed out and you want to enter back in, now is not a good time to enter. And that's just my personal opinion. I could be very wrong, and this thing could spike up and take out the all-time high at $2.75. It could very well do that. But for me, the time to buy Fart Coin was here, right? When we started creating this handle, you start buying, you start hitting those key levels, that 39.40 cent level, that 55 cent level, that 52 cent level, right? Even the breakout on the retest, that 42, that would have been a really nice trade setup. And again, just picture perfect measured move to the upside from the depth of this cup coming into the handle, retest, breakout, stopped right where we had that level at 80 cents. And then it pushed up higher. But we take a look at the lower time frame. It's on the 4 hour. I wish we would have filled this gap. So we do have this gap when we had that massive 4-hour candle, this was a 15% 4-hour candle. We did create a gap. We tapped the top end of that gap on yesterday around 5 p.m. Pacific. But this gap, I think this gap should fill. If it does, expect a bounce here. We also have our previous day low sitting right at 73.6 cents for a fart coin. We take a look at market cipher B, expanding money flow to the upside. Interesting, we haven't gotten a crossover on the VWAP yet. We're about to, and this thing started curving. And so we get that crossover on the VWAP. You're starting to see, right? These reversals are starting to get sharper and sharper. I mean, look at how quick that money flow turned, right? Look at how quick that momentum oscillator turned. That was right here. We had a liquidity grab right at 56 cents for fart coin, and then we rallied. What was that rally? From the liquidity grab. 70%. My God. And so my saying always is, and it holds true to this day and everything I do, whether it's me trading options, stocks, or crypto, is never jump on a moving train going 100 miles an hour. Ever, never. You will die. You will try to jump. You'll miss your jump. You'll fall off on the train tracks. Another train will come right behind you and take your ass out. Every train will come to the next stop. Wait for the next stop and then get in. Okay? Your next stop looks like 82.9 cents might be a great area for Farcoin. So, lower time frames. Let's go 30-minute. Liquidity grab down at 84 cents. To the upside, liquidity grab at 96 cents. So that dollar, right? Watch for that dollar level for a Farcoin. Also, lower time frame. Rising. Now, do we get a bounce here? Do we get a bounce at 90 cents? Or do we break? Right? I do expect this to break. Same thing here. Again, it's on the 30-minute. Rising channel. Break to the downside. Rising channel. Break to the downside. And so this might be a good short opportunity if we get a break. Now, we want to see what price does here. You don't want to run in a situation like this, where we get a close and then a reclaim, close, reclaim, close, reclaim, close, reclaim. You want to see something like this, a close, a failed reclaim, we enter here, and you still would have made money on that trade. 6% times your leverage. And so for me, from a trading standpoint, the next trade I'm looking for on Farcoin is a short. I want to see something similar, break below, failed on a retest. We enter in, take this long, down to that liquidity grab around 84 cents. It should be a nice short trade setup for Farcoin. Yeah. I'm wondering, how many of you watching, is it your first time here? Put a 1 if this is your first time joining here at Sin City Crypto. David Arcado said, can you please check Pi? How would you trade it? I'll be honest with you, bro. I would not touch Pi. There's so many weird ass moves in Pi. I had a couple friends who are like, my tokens got locked for like years. And they're like, I don't know. And these are people who have been in this space for a while, right? These are not newbies. And these guys are saying, I don't know what the hell happened, dude, but I can't access my coins. That thing was locked for 3 years, for 4 years, 5 years. We've seen these large 30, 40% swings intraday. It's like, I don't know. For me, I'll stay away from Pi. What is Pi? Well, Pi with an E is delicious. Not good for you if you eat too much of it. What is your favorite pie, by the way? I love a peach pie. Can't go wrong with apple pie. Blueberry pies are also very good. Also, around Thanksgiving, love the pumpkin pie. A little bit of, what is it called? Cool Whip. Delicious. I'm going to end the poll. So majority of you believe that this is the beginning of the next rally to all-time highs for Bitcoin. And it sure feels like we're starting to see a shift in the uncertainty in macro. Macro doesn't like being uncertain, right? They want certainty. And now they know Now they know unequivocally, one, the Fed will step in if they have to, which they should have known in the first place. But two, Trump is willing to bend. It went from, nope, we're tariffing everyone and everything, to, okay, fine, those of you that haven't retaliated, 90-day pause, to now, okay, fine, we're gonna exclude pretty much tech. Phones, computer chips, all that. We're excluding them from the tariffs. I wonder why. I wonder the hell why. And I think the markets are seeing that as, okay, the guy's he realizes if the markets bleed enough and there's enough pain, not only will the Fed step in, but Trump will pivot because he's kind of starting to already. Once that's out of the way, and I've said this for the last like 3 to 6 weeks, once that happens, you're going to see an absolute explosion in crypto, in Bitcoin. But be careful what you're holding. Don't think that the portfolio you're holding from 2021 is going to rally like it did in 2021. Be very vigilant, be very methodical in your portfolio, and have exposure to projects that are already gaining traction, that already have the infrastructure in place and that already have the users in place and the developers. And we can actually, you know what? We haven't looked at this in a while. Let's take a look at, because the show is also fundamental analysis as well. Let's take a look at DeFi Llama. So just look at some of your top. So this is ranked by TVL, okay? Look at the top. Which ones are gaining? And I don't mean in one day. One day is great, right? Solana, 17% gain, and TVL in the last day. I want to look at the last 7 days and the last month, okay? Last month, Sonic, 50% increase in TVL. We go down the list. Hyperliquid over the last 7 days, a 41% increase. Tyco, never heard of that. 23% increase over the last 30 days. Hemi, only Hemi I know is the motor or the engine for the Ford. Merlin, no idea what that is. 20% gain. 51% gain. Sonium, this is interesting. This is Sony's layer 2. Bro, just use a layer 2 that's already out there. Why are you going and creating your own freaking layer 2? And then look at the ones that are bleeding out. Arbitrum, bleeding out over the last 1 month. Bitcoin, bleeding out. Now, here's the other thing. I'm happy I put this up. I'm happy that caught my attention. You are going to see a lot, and let me pause the music here. You're going to see, by the way, I don't like wearing headphones, but obviously if the music's on, I gotta go. You are going to see a lot of big announcements next month at the Bitcoin conference for Bitcoin DeFi. Charles Hoskinson's already talked about doing a demo for Bitcoin DeFi. Guys, and we're talking like $2 trillion, potentially more, that's sitting idle in Bitcoin that they're looking to reinvigorate into an ecosystem. ICP, I think, is going to come out with something as well. I'll leave it at that. Can't share any more information. That is going to be the theme, I believe, or a big theme that's going to get people bullish, is how do we unlock all this idle money in Bitcoin and be able to play in the DeFi ecosystem? And you're going to see a lot of that come to life. And so have some of those plays in your portfolio. It's going to be a big one. That, I've been pounding the drum on stable coins, MakerDAO, CurveDAO. And you know what? Let's actually take a look at how those have been performing. Let's start with MakerDAO, okay? Where did you go? Okay, let's start with CurveDAO since we're already here. CurveDAO just has been absolutely, this thing has exploded, okay? This was from its low to its high, 60%. MakerDAO. Let's see if I can do it right this time. MakerDAO from its low of around $1,000. God, look at that liquidity grab, 71%. Look at that, my God. That was huge. Anytime you see this, by the way, it's probably a good idea to short. And so this short was that was a 7-8%. Anyways, that was 80%. Look at one. Let's look at Convex. Okay, CVX, Convex Finance. Okay. This thing rallied. This one had a nice clear grab to the upside, around 53%. And so institutional level DeFi, stablecoin specifically, stablecoin yield is going to be a huge narrative that you do not want to miss out on, along with AI, along with RWA. So make sure when you go into your portfolio, you have exposure to some of it. Have some exposure to AI, have some exposure to stablecoins, have some exposure to institutional DeFi and RWA. If you don't, you're going to miss out. Because just saying, oh, I'm only underwater another 60%, it's going to come back. If that's your strategy for this bull market, you will lose money. If your strategy is only, I round trip 2021, I just want to make the money back with what I had, you're going to lose money. Take the L. If it's a 30% clip or a 20 or 50%, it's better to take the remainder of that and put it into something we know is going to perform better than what you had it in already, versus just closing your apps and crossing your fingers and praying that you'll get back to all-time highs so you can break even. You're not going to be successful in crypto doing that. And so you have to continue to reevaluate. So don't think because you round trip your bag, if you just sit it out and wait, that you're going to get back your money. No, that's not how it works. That's not going to happen. And so move money around, and we should have been doing this. You do that when price is choppy. And so we should have been doing this before these big rallies. Now you should already be positioned. You sit there and wait. So, yeah. I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit, but I like to make sure my people are prepared, ready to go. All right. Where's Muhammad? Yeah, where's my boy Muhammad at, man? Muhammad, I miss you, dog. It's my boy. I want him to make him a mod. Muhammad, if you're listening, I want to make you a mod, but I just feel like new people come in, they don't know that you're joking when you say everything to zero, or you're doing it in jest, and might rub them the wrong way, and maybe it's not a good look for the channel. I don't know. I love you, though, man. You're one of my favorite people in here. Vet going ham. Let's take a look at Vet. I think that's the second time I've seen someone talk about VeChain. Let's take a look. VeChain's a solid play, man. I like VeChain. All right. Let's throw these suckers back on. Also what I've always wondered, the people that are sitting in a room with each other, like let's say the PBD podcast, and they're all just sitting talking to each other, like why do you need to have headphones on, bro? Anyways, this is VeChain on the daily. Going ham? I mean, on the daily, not really. Let's look at the 1 hour. It's going ham on the 1 hour. Yeah. Doubled, not 2x. Not really, at 31%. So I mean, it's got upward momentum. I don't know about going ham. Me personally, that's not hating on. It's not me throwing any hate on VeChain. I like VeChain. Cloud's looking great. Looks like at least on the 1 hour that uptrend is losing steam, but it looks like we're picking it back up on the bulls. Let's look at some high volume points here. 2.279 cents, 800 million VeChain was sold there. The big one was 2.1 cents, which we cleared. That was good. And so if you're looking for a scalp, and I don't know if we're going to get down here, but you had a shit ton of VeChain bought at 2 cents flat. So we get here again. If you're looking to add to your spot bags, this should be a good place to enter. We take a look at market cipher. We want that crossover on the VWAP. Momentum is growing. All right, put in a higher high on the momentum waves. Good. That's on the 1 hour. Let's look at the 4 hour. Ooh, we're about to get that crossover on the money flow. That would be good. Also, this was a nice anchor trigger wave set up on a long. Let me get out of Heikinashi. I was here. There's your trigger. Even if you entered here, that's still a 12% move on one wick, on two candles, two 4-hour candles. Pretty damn good. Guys, we do have actually, I did end up getting an affiliate for Market Cipher. I'm telling you guys, this shit's a game changer, bro. It's a little expensive, but I think it's $600 for the year or $1,500 like lifetime. I'm telling you, man, you'll make your money back very, very fast. Market Cipher is the absolute real deal. Or you can be part of our trading group, and then I'll just tell you when they hit. So up to you. But either way, such a great indicator. And let's take a look actually at the red-headed stepchild of Market Cipher, which is A. I don't see a lot of people using A. This is good expansion. You're getting a continuation of the trend, also very good. It's on the 4 hour. Let's look at the 1 hour. Looks like this downtrend is coming to an end. I think looks like the bottom is in for VeChain on the daily too, guys. So take a look at this. Let's get rid of you. Yeah, that bottom's in, dude. I think for VeChain, the bottom's in. And if we do retest, we're not going below 1.8 cents. 13 billion VeChain was bought at this level. Let me drop a flag. 13 billion VeChain was bought at 1.9 cents. And so this is going back to November of last year. This is it. This is a beautiful double. I honestly think the bottom for VeChain is in. Tons of buyers coming in there. Let's take a look at this. That's where our previous week low sits as well. So expect a little bit of resistance, which we do have some confluence. So this was a high volume point here at around 2.7 cents. We did break above our baseline, which is good. That is bullish, but we want to be a couple things. We want this cloud to be green, and we want to be trading above our cloud. So expect some resistance coming into the cloud at around 2.5 cents. Up to 2.7 cents. Expect some resistance there for VeChain. But that essentially, once we get in here, you break in the cloud, you're taking out that high from the middle of March. And then we talk about structural change on the chart for VeChain. But from a fundamental standpoint, VeChain is solid. Great team. They've been around for a very long time. And the niche they're in, that niche is going nowhere. In fact, I think, and the niche I'm talking about, and what a beautiful, sorry, I'm like, you know that movie, Squirrel. I saw Anchor Trigger Wave. And I always do this in real time. I like to back test. Like, okay, if I would have entered here on the open, 6%, your timing would have had to been perfect. Or other than that, this would have been a false entry. Unless you timed it perfectly. But anyways, for VeChain, their utility and their thesis, like this is what they've been waiting for. Businesses to come on chain with supply chain. And I think that is going to accelerate over the next 18 to 24 months. And it's not something that's going to happen fast because it's such a massive amount of value, money, and business that has to be bridged over, and an overhaul of a system. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be huge. And I referenced this a few times, but I did a case study for Nike, not for Nike personally, but I did it on Nike, I guess I should say. And $1 billion, $1 billion could hit their top line revenue if they had supply chain management and they can weed out the counterfeit. People that buy counterfeit shoes, not knowing they're buying counterfeit shoes, what VeChain does can solve all of that fairly easily as well. So, all right, my friends, I think I'm done for the day. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Spend some time with the fam, whatever hobbies you guys like to do. Also, I'll be going live tomorrow. Crypto and Chill show tomorrow. You know, last week, our Crypto and Chill show on Sunday turned into a Crypto and Chart show because we're getting that big breakout. We're getting that. Was it a dump or a breakout? I'm like losing track of my days, my hours, my charts. Not losing track of my kids. That's good, right? So last Sunday was that big dump we had. Was it? Anyways, we had a big move in Bitcoin last week, and so it wasn't really a chill show. It was chill, but it was more charts. But this week, tomorrow, unless something crazy happens again, it was a dump. Yeah, thank you. It'll be more kind of laid back, talking to the community. So anyways, guys, have a great rest of your day. I love you. I'll see you all tomorrow. Make sure you follow us on X and in our Discord so you know when we go live. Until then, peace.